On behalf of everyone at CRH, I'd like to thank all the foundation board members. Ron Werft, President and CEO, is here tonight, for the boards and Ron's very unwavering support of rehab in our community. The hospital wouldn't be what it is today without the generous support of the community and all the people that make it happen. We're very, very privileged and grateful for that. So I'm very excited about tonight. It's a great representation of what can happen when the human spirit and rehabilitation medicine team up together to overcome what are seemingly insurmountable challenges and to persevere, to thrive and inspire. Before we get to the program, I do want to say a few things about Cottage Rehabilitation Hospital. We've gathered this evening to support a very special place that helps people recover from injuries and illness and empowers them to achieve an optimal quality of life. Each year, CRH, Cottage Rehabilitation Hospital, has the privilege of caring for right around 650 inpatients, right around 15,000 outpatient visits, and a host of services. You're talking about all the therapy services, speech, occupational therapy, physical therapy, the therapeutic recreation, aquatic center, neuropsych and psych services, and a whole host of other services that support all types of patients that need rehabilitation medicine in our community. 88% of the patients that come to CRH return to a home or a home-like setting, which is a very high mark and a high bar for the hospital, and we're very proud of that, bringing people back to their health. So the CRH Keck Outpatient Center I told you about and the TUI Aquatic Center kind of round out the services at CRH. The broad range of services, which have been so well supported by the foundation board and the volunteers for so long, really mean that anyone who needs us can come in and really get all types of therapy that we offer, and we're very proud of that. We have growing programs and support and new technology, and that's part of the support from the community I talked about. We're inspired by our patients, our former patients, and of course by the dedicated and skilled medical staff and nurses, therapists, and other healthcare professionals we have the privilege of sharing this great service with. So our job at CRH is to provide the best care and treatment, but each individual brings their own unique strengths and motivation to achieve these goals. Our patients put in the hard work to meet the goals they set out to accomplish, and no one else can do this. It takes discipline, a will, and dedication, and I know we'll be hearing more about that from Jesse in just a few moments. Then there are other families, many of who are in this crowd, friends, volunteers who provide encouragement, support, and sometimes caregiving, and our generous donors who provide a different kind of, but critical kind of support that we share. You're all people who make a difference for us, and we're very grateful for that. I want to thank you for being here. I'd now like to introduce someone who makes a big difference for us, to our hospital, to our patients, through her remarkable service and leadership. Danny Kent, the chair of the Cottage Rehabilitation Foundation Board. Please join me, a nice loud welcome for Danny. Danny Kent.
Thanks, Ari, and thanks for the work you do. On behalf of the Cottage Rehabilitation Hospital Foundation, I want to welcome everyone to tonight's events. The Cottage Rehabilitation Hospital Foundation is a philanthropic organization that exists to support the programs and services of the Cottage Rehabilitation Hospital. Those are a lot of tongue twisters. We strive to ensure that the highest quality medical rehabilitation is available to all people with disabilities. Cottage Rehabilitation is, as Ari has said, the premier provider of medical rehabilitation on the Central Coast. We are so fortunate to have something like this and this level of care in our community. It's actually a really amazing place, and for a community this small, it's an incredible asset. The foundation is proud to support the outstanding hospital and the incredible physicians and staff who make every day important, and they affect so many, and they affect so many local lives in so many ways. So tonight, you'll hear an incredible story of empowerment. Following his accident, Jesse knew one thing. He knew he was going to surf again. That part was easy. But figuring out how to turn his passion for surfing into a reality, that was the challenge. This challenge drove him to find a way to surf again, and eventually to find a way to share his passion for surfing with so many others facing similar situations. For someone who's undergone a life-changing illness or injury, finding their passion is a formidable task. But it can also be the difference between surviving and thriving. The incredible staff at Cottage Rehab work tirelessly to heal bodies and to help people learn how to adapt to their new situations. But that's not where it ends. They go beyond the purely clinical. They expose patients to a whole new world of opportunities: sports, hobbies, recreation, peers and mentors, whatever it might take. They're willing, able, and right there to do it. So when somebody like Jesse shows up and knows exactly what his passion is, the team at Cottage Rehab, their job, and they do it so well, is to turn that passion into a reality, to help Jesse figure out how he can get back to that point that he wants to. For those who show up and have not yet found what it is that drives them or what their passion is, the team at Cottage Rehab introduces them to an unbelievable world of possibilities and shows them everything that they may be able to do. And usually that sparks something in somebody. So the people at Cottage Rehab, they do this because they know that somebody who's pursuing a passion will try harder, reach further, and become more empowered than somebody whose final goal is just daily living. And the support doesn't stop when people leave the hospital. Cottage, with the support of our foundation, offers adaptive recreation programs for the entire community throughout the year. Things like a myriad of programs at the Aquatic Center, the week-long junior wheelchair sports camp that happens every year in July out at UCSB and is free to every participant, and regular golf, cycling, and kayaking clinics, art classes, support networks, support meetings, and so much more. Hopefully, according to the foundation, that will include an adaptive surfing program in Santa Barbara in 2020. So whatever the passion is, surfing, basketball, art, music, or my favorite, scuba diving, passion empowers people, and empowered people can do incredible things. And by supporting Cottage Rehabilitation Hospital Foundation, you help empower people every day to find their passion, to be driven, and to contribute to the world in amazing ways that some never thought were possible. So tonight, I thank you all for being here. A special thanks to our sponsors and to Leilon McGrath, who I know is here and I don't see. Yes. Who chairs our committee for this event, and the entire committee for everything they do. We'll start with a brief video from our the Cottage Rehab Recreational Therapeutic Program. That was a mouthful. And then we'll be followed up by Renee Van Horn, who's our lead recreation therapist at Cottage. She's going to be a panelist tonight, and she's just a huge treasure for us to have at CRH. Her passion is unbelievable. So she'll come out, and she will also tell you a little more about the evening, and she'll introduce our inspiring speaker. So thank you all for being here. Good night.
Van Horn. I'm a recreation therapist for Cottage Rehabilitation Hospital. We do kayaking about 3 or 4 times a year, wheelchair basketball, wheelchair rugby. We've done hockey, adapted cycling, which is probably one of our most popular adapted sports programs. And then we do an adapted golf program and an accessible yoga program. Sometimes people just need a little help overcoming the barriers. We are here to empower them to learn what they can do and how they can tell others, this is what I can do. Let me get out on the field with you. I just need this.
Hello. Ooh. All right. Hi, welcome. I am Renee Van Horn. I look just a little bit different than I did up there on the screen. Thank you, Ari. Thanks, Kyle. Thank you, Ari, Danny, all our sponsors, Leilon again, and the incredible committee that we've been working with. And you know, I gotta say, I wanna thank each and every one of you for being here tonight, because what's so cool is I get to see people that have been supporters of Cottage Rehabilitation Hospital for years and years. I get to see new members to our Cottage Rehab family. We've got campers here, counselors, instructors. We have a lot of former patients, and we also have all their families and their supporters. So it's a pretty awesome thing. So thank you guys for being here. And what I'd like to do is, if you are one of the great people that I get to work with every day, a Cottage Rehab team member, could you stand and just let us acknowledge you because of what you do every day? Stand or wave. Come on, don't be shy. Woohoo! Thank you guys so much. So one of the reasons I'm really excited about this evening is that Jesse's going to be talking to us about passion, dreams, and the human spirit. And in many ways, as a recreation therapist, that is what our foundation is of what we go and meet our patients and what we are ultimately trying to help them find again. And whether it's in our inpatient programs or whether it's something that in our community programs, it's all about having that opportunity to bring them on a path that they will find whatever it is that their path should be. And I think Danny said it perfectly. It's beyond just daily living. It's doing the life that the reason we all work and do the things we do in life is to do those things we're passionate about. And I know Jesse's going to be sharing that with us tonight. So talking with Jesse today, I asked him about his rehabilitation. And there wasn't a whole lot he remembers because it was a while ago. But one thing he does remember, he says that, you know, every week they'd have a meeting. And it sounded like kind of a support group, education group, where he'd meet with other patients and peers and other people that were on the same path of recovering from injury. And he said, you know, that connection that he made was something that they'd get together afterwards and they'd, I think he said, like play Connect Four, do something together. And that building and that connection gave him some hope of, you know, things to come. And he says he's still friends with a lot of these people. And it made me think that this happens a lot in the programs we do. You know, whether it's sitting around a table at like one of our spinal cord injury support groups or our Outlook group, or if it's paddling next to somebody in the lagoon out at UCSB, or, you know, shooting tennis balls back and forth, there's a connection. And that is what gives them role models, it gives you mentoring, it gives you ideas of how they're gonna go on and do things. And, you know, as a therapist without a disability, I and our team can take them so far. But it's the stories of the people that are out there doing it that really impacts you, which is why I'm so excited that Jesse's here tonight. So I know we're all excited about Jesse being here. So what's going to happen is we're going to cue a video in just a moment that he brought for us. And then afterwards, we're going to have some questions and answers that'll be just for Jesse. And then after that, there'll be a panel of Dr. Sharon Basham, who's our medical director, and David Powdrell, who is a former patient, former Cottage Rehabilitation Hospital board member, and athlete, philanthropist, artist, yada, yada, and myself. And we'll be up here doing just a short panel of more questions and answers. So now, without further ado, I'd like to show what Jesse brought for us to watch.
Search of incredible. And I'm here in Morocco in search of surf. It's where I found some of the most incredible waves in my life, and it's what attracts surfers from all around the world to this amazing region. Now, surfing is a passion for me, but I wouldn't say I'm the most incredible surfer in the world. I do know a guy, though, who is the most incredible surfer in the world. His name is Jesse Billauer, and I'd like you to meet him too. Dude. Hey, what's up? How's it going? So, when did you first get involved with surfing?
Man, you know, like growing up by the beach in Pacific Palisades, I was like, man, that looks like a lot of fun out there. So I just started boogie boarding at first, and then I started longboarding just when I was like 9, 10 years old. And by the time I was 17, I was like top 100 surfers in Surfer Magazine. I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to be a professional surfer. I want to surf for a living.
So what happened?
It was March 25th, 1996. I took off on this one wave, and going down the line, pulled in the barrel. When I came out, the wave hit me in my back, and I didn't really have time to put my hands up, you know, and I didn't know how shallow it was. I ended up going head first into the water and hit the shallow sandbar, and my whole body just went limp and numb and tingly. And when you're 17 and you hear that, you know, you broke your neck and that you severed your spinal cord, you may never walk again, I mean, your life just stops, you know? And at that moment, I really didn't know what to think. Is this really permanent, you know? And every day that went by, I realized that this was pretty permanent, man.
So that was 15 years ago. How long after your injury before you got back in the water?
It took me 3 years because figure out the right equipment, you know, because nobody was really doing this before me, and I didn't really know how to set up the surfboard, didn't know what to do. Yeah, so now like I have, you know, muscles up here, so I just lay down on my stomach, prop myself on my elbows, and then my friends push me into the waves, and then it's all me, and that is like so much. Even falling is fun. I'm paralyzed, but when I fall, you know, I got a really good life jacket, and I know I'm not gonna drown. I found like I could surf, you know, and that just gave me more inspiration for myself. So I realized that my story was, you know, an important story just to share. And that could bring hope and inspiration to people, whether they're disabled or not. So I got into doing motivational speaking.
I was floating face down in the water, unable to move, and then luckily a wave turned me over. And
99% of the people I talk to are walking, but they come up to me and just, I've had kids that were like, I was thinking about committing suicide until I heard you talk. And I mean, man, if you could save one life, that's amazing. And I just want to do the things that I love, you know? And so after my injury, I don't know, maybe 5 years after my injury, went skydiving. That was pretty amazing, you know? Then a few years after that, I went 220 miles out to sea, went cage diving with 12 to 15 foot great white sharks. I mean, that was beautiful. Like, I just figured, always have something to look forward to, and life won't be that bad.
So I told you we'd meet an incredible surfer. And by the looks of Jesse in the water, you can tell that the situation never stopped him from pursuing his dream. And in addition to his physical strength and his knowledge of the water, what really inspires me about Jesse is that he shares his strength with others. He invites you in on his journey. He invites you to share the same wave. And in surfing, that's called sharing the stoke. But it's what I call incredible.
Yeah, the world as I see it
is a remarkable place.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce Jesse Billauer.
All right, well, the whole front row is jealous of everyone that stood up. That's kind of messed up. I was waiting for you guys too, but then I was like, oh, maybe we can't. I'm just playing with you guys, man. First of all, thanks so much for allowing me to be here. Does this thing look like so big? Like I got like Rudolph the Black-Nosed nose? Anyways, what you guys just saw right there was this clip of me and Jason Mraz. We went out to Morocco and he played music and we went surfing and we had a good time. And now that a lot of people know how I got injured through my surfing accident, the most frequent question I hear is, how do I keep such a positive attitude on life? And that's something I'd like to share with you tonight. So if you can just do me a favor and just close your eyes for a moment. I just want you to visualize, just see your dreams. Think about where you see yourselves maybe in a few years from now. Think about, where you are, who you're with, what you're doing, and whether or not all the dreams that you're thinking about right now, are actually coming true. So you can open up your eyes. Just want you to store those thoughts, in the back of your mind for a little while. I've been through 3 traumatic experiences that really shaped who I am. First one happened in October of 1995 when I was 16 years old and I was driving up to school on PCH up to Malibu. And I was just about to go through this intersection by Pepperdine, and there was a car that was making a turn. They didn't see me, and they actually hit the driver's side door of my car, and my car spun around, and it flipped over a few times. I actually wasn't wearing a seatbelt, and I got ejected out of the driver's side window. I landed on PCH. And as I lay there, luckily no cars ran me over. But as I lay there, I looked up at the sky, and all my dreams were flashing in front of my eyes. Would I be that pro surfer? Would I be in that big feature film movie? Would I graduate college? Would I have that wife and kids? So I was super nervous and scared. And I remember the ambulance came, and they put me in the back. And I got to the hospital, and my dad was waiting there for me. And I remember going through the double doors, and I just looked up at my dad, and I told him, I said, I'd rather be dead than be paralyzed and not ever be able to surf again. So the next day, I ended up just walking out of the hospital with a torn ligament in my thumb, some cuts and bruises, a little whiplash, but I figured if I could fly out of a car going like 55 miles an hour, man, I was pretty invincible, nothing would ever happen to me. So I went back to school, played baseball, soccer, surfing, never thought twice about that car accident. And then about 6 months later, it was about a month after my 17th birthday, a month before turning professional as a surfer. I remember it was March 25th, 1996, and just a beautiful day, gorgeous weather. Waves were about 6 to 8 feet at Zuma Beach. Usually I like to go and surf by myself because I didn't want to share my waves with all my friends, but for some reason that day, I told my friends to meet me before school and that we were going to surf. Luckily, at that time, I had first period independent study, which was surfing. I came up with that idea to my principal. I said, hey, I'm going to miss a lot of class for first period, so why don't we just make it a class? And he thought it was a good idea. So all the kids nowadays at that school are thanking me. They don't even really know that, but I'll remind them. So that morning, I got to the beach and the waves were really good, and just one of my friends there. Put my wetsuit on really fast, paddled out. I was surfing for a while by myself, and then about an hour later, my friends all started showing up. And a little bit later, I took off on a wave and pulled inside of the barrel. And when I came out, the wave hit me in my back, and I went head first into the water. I thought it was deeper than it was, but it gets really shallow in the inside, and I ended up hitting my head on the shallow sandbar, and my whole body just went limp and numb and tingly, and I was floating there face down in the water, unable to move. I just knew something was wrong because I've never felt that sensation before. So all I could do was just at that moment, just hold my breath and wait for a wave to turn me over. And when the wave turned me over, I knew like that was my chance to call for help. But when I called for help, all my friends thought I was just joking around. So nobody came over to help me. The waves were tumbling me around, and finally one of my other friends saw me and came over, and I told him, like, you got to keep my head above water or else I'm going to drown. So the boards were hitting us, water, everything. And so two of my friends pulled me up on the beach. And as I lay there, I knew I couldn't move. But again, I was looking up at the sky, and I had those same dreams about, being a pro surfer, being in that big movie, graduating college, have that wife and kid. I was really nervous. And I remember the lifeguard came over and he asked me if I could move, and I was like, no. And he started cutting off my wetsuit, and it was a new wetsuit. And I was like, hey, I'm gonna need that thing. Like, please don't cut my wetsuit off. But I think he knew a little bit more than me. Finally put a neck brace on me and put me on this backboard and put me in the back of his truck and took me to the parking lot where there was a helicopter waiting. The next day I remember I woke up in the hospital with tubes coming out of my throat. I was on this rotating bed, and I just knew something was really wrong. But I didn't know until a few days later when the doctor came into the room and told me something that I never wanted to hear, let alone I'm sure no one would ever want to hear it. But at 17 years old, when they tell you that you broke the 6th vertebrae in your neck and you severed your spinal cord and you may never walk again, I think my life at that moment just stopped, and I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know what life was going to be like, and I didn't even know what being paralyzed meant. Every other injury I had healed, so I figured that this one would be the same, until I learned a little bit more about it. But at first, I could barely sit up in bed without feeling dizzy. I had to learn how to brush my teeth, brush my hair, feed myself. Felt like a little kid. When honestly, a week before, I was traveling around the world. I was in Tahiti, Mexico, Bali, all these places. And now I had to depend on somebody 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that was just a whole different life to get used to. And at that moment, all I wanted to do was just go home, sleep in my own bed, have food in my house. You never really know how much you miss those things, until they're taken away. So a few weeks after my injury, I was feeling pretty strong. I had a neck brace on, but I was pushing myself in my wheelchair, and I felt good. And honestly, I was just, like I said, looking forward to going home. But my physical therapist, they knew I was into sports. And so they came into my room and showed me this new wheelchair for this new sport. And they asked me if I wanted to go to a local park and play this new sport. And I was like, not really, I'm not really into that. And I was wondering, why they wanted me to play wheelchair rugby, which is like, it's AKA murder ball. Everyone's they're ramming each other in their wheelchairs. And I was like, oh, this doesn't sound like a really good idea. My neck's not fully healed. But I was 17 and I looked up to my therapist and I thought they knew everything. So we went to the park, started playing this game, and everyone was kind of ramming each other in their wheelchairs. And I was like, oh, it's not my style. I'm more of like a Netflix, cuddling, laid back kind of guy. Ping pong, pool, those kinds of stuff. Didn't have that violence in me to ram someone in their wheelchair. So I was kind of over the game. But in the back of in their wheelchair, there's these wheelie bars that prevent you from flipping over. So someone borrowed mine, and when they put them back in, they ended up putting them in wrong. So I went to push, and my wheelchair flipped over backwards, and I hit my head on the concrete, and my whole body went limp and numb and tingly the exact same way as it did when I broke my neck surfing. So I honestly felt like I was paralyzed again, maybe even worse. And here I am laying on my back, looking up at the sky, and all those dreams were flashing in front of my eyes. Still wanted to do all those things. And they called 911. I remember the paramedics came and they looked down at me and, they asked me like what I could move. And I was like, man, I'm already a quadriplegic. I don't know what else you want me to move, but super scared. They ended up taking me to the emergency room and took x-rays. And they said nothing was wrong. A lot of people don't know, and a lot of people do know, but if you break your neck or your back, you could still walk. But if you do damage to the spinal cord inside, that's when you get paralyzed. So I figured that I had the exact same sensation twice. So I figured I probably did a lot of nerve damage, and they sent me back to my room, said nothing was wrong. But the next day, I had this really bad headache, and I couldn't get out of bed. My dad suggested that I get a CAT scan. And so what we found was a blood hemorrhage in my brain, and I had to get a filter put inside of my lungs so I wouldn't get a blood clot to my heart. But I had to start therapy all over again, and I had to stay in the hospital a few extra months. And it's from those 3 traumatic experiences that I realized how precious life is, and at any moment, things can change. People think that bad things happen to bad people, but bad things happen to good people, and you never know when that could be you, your friends, your family. So make sure you let them know how much they mean to you before it's too late. Tomorrow's never guaranteed. We really got to enjoy today and be thankful for what you have. Always remember that there's someone that's worse off than you no matter what. So be thankful for where you're at, and if you want more, work harder. I remember, just growing up and having the opportunities that I did to be able to travel, to get sponsored, to play baseball, to surf. All those things were just beautiful moments that I had. And I didn't think that any of those things could be taken away. When it comes to a job or a relationship or whatever it may be, sometimes, we give up on things before we even try. We're like, oh, you know what, that's way too hard. I can't do that. That's impossible. And a lot of times, like I'm saying, you say those things before you even try. All people want for you to do is try your hardest. Whether or not you accomplish something or not, as long as you tried your best, that's all anybody wants. I remember after my accident, I was staying at my uncle's house, and I was laying in his guest bedroom, and I needed something from the car. But it was only me and my friend at the house at the time, so he walked outside. But when he closed the door to the house, it ended up locking the door, so I didn't know how I was going to be able to get him back in. And about 5 or 6 feet away from the bed, there was a sliding glass door. And instead of locking the door, you could put this piece of wood in the track. It's kind of like the ghetto way of locking things, man. You put the piece of wood in there so you can't slide the door open. And I always told myself, like, I never want to fall out of my wheelchair and get hurt or fall out of bed and get hurt. So I laid there and I thought about it for a little while. I ended up grabbing these pillows and these blankets and just pushed them off the bed. And then I counted to 3 and I ended up rolling off the bed, landed on these pillows and blankets, started crawling over like Commando G.I. Jesse, right? I was moving super slow like a turtle, but eventually I ended up reaching out and I picked up the piece of wood. My friend opened up the door and he picked me up off the ground. And when he put me back in a bed, I realized that as long as you follow your heart and your mind, all the things you thought were impossible or way too hard, you might actually be able to accomplish. So sometimes slow down and think about things a little bit longer, and try to figure out ways to accomplish some stuff. I feel like life is about making the right choices, and that each decision that you make can change your whole life, whether that's your friend's life, your family's lives, whatever it is. Each decision can change it forever. That could be just walking across the street at the wrong time, getting into a car with someone who's drinking, not wearing the right protective equipment in different sports. All those decisions can change your life. After my injury, I had a choice. Was I going to go down that, negative road and feel sorry for myself, stay home, and maybe just do nothing? Or was I going to go down the positive road, follow my dreams, do the things that I love? It might be harder, might take a lot of work, but that's the road that I wanted to go down. So after my injury, I got a chance to do the things that I love. It took people, it took help. And sometimes, we're all afraid of asking for help. We always think we could do it ourselves. Everybody needs help. Whether you're walking or paralyzed, everybody needs help. So never feel bad for asking, and realize that we're all just temporarily able-bodied, One day we're all going to be disabled, whether it's through old age, disease, or injury. And that's when you're going to be asking for help. So just remember, who did I help along the way so that I could be granted help? After my injury, I got a chance to go surfing. It took a few years after my injury because no one was really doing this before my injury. So I had to figure out the right equipment. But me and Rob Machado and Al Merrick came up with an idea to make this longboard with these toe-in foot straps by the rail, where I would lay down on my stomach, prop myself up on my elbows, and my friends would push me into waves. And it was at that moment that I felt this freedom. I felt this independence. I felt this joy. I felt the wind on my face, the water splashing. I felt things that I didn't feel for a few years. And it was at that moment that I knew I wanted to give back. I knew that I wanted to have other people in my situation feel what I just felt. A lot of you know or don't know, though, that when you get paralyzed, you lose a lot of sensation. And when you lose that, that's a huge part of your life. When we talk about the things that are beautiful in life, we talk about how they feel. When you're able-bodied and you go to the beach, you're talking about how it felt to have the sand between your toes, the water. You're not talking about, I moved my right leg, I moved my left leg. You're talking about the sensations that you had. And that goes with so many things in life. So remember, they could be taken away. I feel like I wish it was either, hey, take away my sensation or take away my movement, but don't take away both. And that's what's the sad situation of, people that are paralyzed. They lose a lot. So all the able-bodied people realize that those are beautiful things in life. Take advantage of them, appreciate them, and use them. And then I'm supposed to say, then you might lose them. But I'm not a rapper today. I'm just coming up here to talk to you guys. So I started a foundation called Life Rolls On. I remember doing interviews and everyone was like, life goes on. And I looked down, I was like, you know what, Life Rolls On. That's a dope name. I need to trademark that thing. And I told my friends. And so we started Life Rolls On. And started off with just one little event. And the first event we ever did was September 11th, 2001, when the Twin Towers are going down. I woke up that morning and I thought the event was going to be canceled. So we ended up going to the beach, and Laird Hamilton, Gabby Reese, Kelly Slater, Rob Machado, Ross Williams, they were all at the beach waiting for us to do the event. And I realized at that moment that this was going to be a super special foundation to help out a lot of people. I didn't know how many people, I didn't know what I was going to do with it. But looking back at the last 18 years, now we do events in 12 different places: California, Texas, Florida, Virginia, North Carolina, New York, New Jersey, Nova Scotia. And we take about 100 people with various disabilities surfing at each event, with 300 to 400 volunteers at each event. And I think it's pretty much a green light that you guys should be thanking Cottage Rehabilitation for being able to, the first sponsor of the 2020 Life Rolls On Santa Barbara event. Let's give you guys a round of applause for that. But these events, just to be honest with you, the surfing is an excuse to bring the community together. It's an excuse to bring people with various disabilities together, their families, to learn about life, to learn about building confidence, and just about independence, joy, happiness. Because when somebody catches their first wave, they come alive. They don't realize and remember that they're paralyzed. We have people that look forward to these days, 364 days for one day, 30 minutes in the water surfing. And I want to show you a video of these programs, and then I'll talk a little bit more, but just wanted to set the stage for what these events do. Like I said, the surfing is an excuse to bring these people together so that they can meet like-minded people, to build relationships, friendships. We've had people that have gotten married after they met there. So it's a dating service too. No guarantees that it lasts, but I can bring you to the water, but I can't make you drink. I'm gonna check out this video and we'll talk a little bit more. Surfing just makes me feel alive. I love getting beat up by the waves. It makes me feel something that I lost. So it gives me a lot of joy just to watch people doing this for the first time.
I was injured in the Marines 8 years ago. Since then, I've never been out on the water surfing.
I've been wheelchair bound since I was 5 years old. I grew up in a very athletic family. Surfing was something I never thought I would do.
I was riding my motorcycle and a guy just ran a red light. I didn't even have time to turn and see what was about to hit me. I just saw the light on the left side. About 5 surgeries later, had to amputate the leg. A year later, I'm surfing.
It's made me realize that there are so many things that I could do, not just sit around at home in a wheelchair. I've been able to surf with them, and I've been able to come out and skate with them.
My daughter Emma's 10 years old. We're out here at the skate park, dropping into some bowls, gaining some confidence with her equipment for her everyday life.
Jumping off of rails and down stairs and stuff. I mean, it's unbelievable out here.
And things that were scary before, like going down a curb or trying a set of stairs out in the real world, it's a piece of cake, and it's like the whole world becomes your skate park.
I love going in the ocean. It was my first time. They put me on the board, cheering me on. I was scared at first, but I'm gonna come back.
There's no reason to be afraid if you haven't done it. You always have people to help if you need them. It's a really big event.
They're like in a line, and I'm right in the middle, and the wave's right behind me.
They set you up for the right wave, they turn you around, and then they said 1, 2, 3, and boom, you're off.
When they're out in that water, everything is quiet. All your distractions are set aside, and you're really at peace.
It reminds me of riding that motorcycle, being free, just kind of flying.
It's like a fulfilling way of going out and having a good adventure.
You have to get out and try. You can't make it if you don't try. That's for everything.
Would I recommend it? I mean, I would promote it, you know? How can I get this out to the guys that I know, wounded warriors? A good majority of them would probably say, yeah, I want to do that. I don't even know how I can do that.
I want people in every city, every state to enjoy a Life Rolls On event so that more people in our situation can get on a surfboard or get into a skate park.
Get out there like everybody else. That's all I wanted to do, is be like anybody who's living life. It's days like today that allow me to experience that.
Well, sometimes the sun shines on other people's houses and not mine. And some days the clouds paint the sky all gray and takes away the summertime. And somehow the sun shines upon you while I struggle to get by. A little light never hurt nobody. Send out a ray of sunshine. Well, I wanna walk the same roads as everybody else, through the trees and past the gates. Getting high on heavenly breezes, making new friends along the way. I won't ask much of nobody, I'm just here to sing along and make my mistakes look gracious and learn some lessons from my wrongs. But sometimes the sun shines on other people's houses and not mine. And the clouds paint the sky in a way that takes away the summertime. And the sun keeps shining upon you while I struggle to get by. A little light never hurt nobody. Send out a ray of sunshine. Oh, if this little light of mine combined with yours today, how many watts could we illuminate? How many villages could we save? Well, my umbrella's tired of the weather wearing me down. Well, look at me now. Well, you sure look as good as your outlook. Would you mind if I took some time to soak up your light? You're beautiful like you got a paradise inside. I get hungry for love and thirsty for life, but much too full on the pain. And when I look to the sky to help me, it most always looks like rain. Well, sometimes the sun shines on other people's houses and not mine. Some days the clouds paint the sky all gray. It takes away the summertime. But somehow the sun keeps shining upon you while I kindly stand by. A little light never hurt nobody. Send out a ray of sunshine. Undeniably warm and cerulean, you're perfect in design. I hope you hang around so the sun can shine on me. And the clouds, they can roll away, and the sky can become a possibility. And there's a light in everybody. Send out a ray of sunshine.
So that's our quality of life programs. They will surf again and they will skate again. Yeah, those skaters are super amazing. I won't even go like 5 feet close to the edge of that bowl. I'd rather fall like a 15-foot wave, but I'm not the guy who likes to fall on concrete, but they're amazing and super inspiring. But yeah, that's the events that we do. And, you know, I remember after my accident a few years later, my friends were pushing me into waves. And I remember I rode a wave and I fell off at the end. And I was floating there, waiting for them to come get me. And as I look up at the sky, I realized that all my dreams weren't flashing in front of my eyes anymore. I was actually living my dreams. I did get to surf in a big professional event for the last 10 plus years at the US Open of Surfing in Huntington Beach. I did get to be in a big feature film movie called Step Into Liquid. And I have a documentary movie on my life called Jesse's Story. And, I got to graduate from San Diego State with a communication degree. And then 5 years ago, I ended up getting married and yeah. And then 2 years ago, I had twin boys. Their birthday's next week. And one of the kids, their names one of them had for the last 15 years. I was like, my first kid, his name's gonna be Dorian, for Shane Dorian, because my whole surf style, they used to call me Little Dorian. So I said, oh, my first kid's gonna be named Dorian. And then when I look up the sky and it's blue outside and the ocean's blue, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna name him Dorian Blue. And then my other kid's name's Nakoa. It means brave warrior in Hawaiian. I go to Hawaii every year, so his name's Nakoa Rain, Dorian Blue and Nakoa Rain. And I just got them their first surfboards, and I've never seen Nakoa more excited over anything. I could see just the glow, and it just was really cool. So for all you guys down there, if you don't have kids yet, it's a beautiful experience that 23 years ago I didn't know if I was ever going to have. So everything's a possibility, and everything is at your fingertips, and there's so many things out there that you can do, no matter who you are, no matter what's going on. But if you can do me a favor and close your eyes like you did in the beginning, I just want you to visualize those dreams that you had. And I just want you to know that, no matter what happens to you in life, that as long as you follow your heart and follow your mind, all the things that you thought were impossible or way too hard, you might actually be able to accomplish. So slow down and think about things, be grateful and appreciate life. And remember, whatever you put out into the world is what you're going to get back. So you can open up your eyes. Just want to say, 3 years ago, one of my other dreams came true. When I got injured, I wanted to be a pro surfer. I wanted to win a world title. So 3 years ago, I was the first adaptive surfing world champion, and I won the gold medal for the United States in front of 18 other countries. So looking to win another one in a couple weeks. But in June this year, I won the U.S. Adaptive Surfing Championships and the Hawaii Adaptive Championships all in 1 week. I won 2 championships, and next week or 2 weeks from now, I'm surfing in the U.S. Open of Adaptive Surfing Championships, which is in Oceanside. So wish me luck, but it's all good. But I'd love for you guys to ask me any other questions that you guys want. This is one of my newer surfboards. I've had a bunch of different boards that I've gone through, and we've made some adjustments. And this is the Jesse Billauer adaptive model that people can order from Channel Islands, and it's super rad and cool. And but you can't have the same artwork. Sorry, you have to design your own. This one doesn't have my straps on it because I just got back from Fiji, and I forgot to put them back on. I was surfing restaurants, and I scare a lot of people and have a big smile on my face, so it's all good. But I have gotten injured twice in the last X amount of years. So I've retired from one of my favorite waves, which is Sunset Beach, Hawaii. Surfed that thing 10 to 15 foot, and I broke my femur. And But then I went back a year later and I was all good. So, but now I got kids and I got to be careful. Sometimes you grow up a little bit. It's my time to grow up. But I'll always be a kid. But you guys can ask me whatever questions you guys want now that we're all best friends. Don't be shy. I could hear you, so it's up to you. Oh. No, this one is not the, okay, so I have two different surfboards. One that has no wave jet, which the wave jet is an electric surfboard where you push a button and it's like a jet ski built into my surfboard so that I could catch waves by myself and stuff. And it's like the most amazing technology and board for me ever. But for competition, you're not allowed to use that. So this is my competition board that has no wave jet. It's just a standard board and you have someone that pushes you into the waves and then you're riding and then someone catches you and kind of pulls you back out. But I made a lot of adaptations. You can't see it, but on the other side, my fins are a lot further up. So it makes the board a lot looser because I'm turning from the middle of the board. I'm not putting pressure on the tail. A lot of my other boards are way too stiff. And this one makes it look like I'm doing a lot of maneuvers.
Hi, Jesse.
Hello.
Hey, man. I want to know who inspires you and why.
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, the people that inspire me are my dad and my best friends that help me do the things that I can do, because without them, I'm no inspiration to anybody. If my friends can't help me on a surfboard and they can't help me surf, I can't surf. So my heroes are my friends that help me surf and my dad and my caregiver, because that's the people that help me accomplish all my dreams. You know, I mean, like, I have thousands of acquaintances and like a handful of friends. And those friends are the ones that make me who I am. I think you're only as good as the people you surround yourself with. So I feel like I have really good friends and they're amazing, and that makes me almost as cool as them.
Jesse, you're super amazing, and this has been incredibly uplifting. And I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer, but did you deal with some depression and things over the years?
So you got to look at it like everybody, whether they're paralyzed or they're walking, gets bummed out and depressed over certain things during the course of their life. And after my injury, I looked at it like at the first moment, I was just super bummed that I got injured. And I was really bummed that I didn't know how I was going to be like in the surfing and the world tour and all that stuff. But then I was happy that I got hurt surfing. And it wasn't that someone did this to me. I did it doing something that I love. So that helped me personally just realize that, hey, like, you did something, you got hurt doing something that you love, and you'll probably be able to do it down the road. I didn't know how, but in the hospital, I think it was just more about, like, I was 17 and all my friends were having a good time and I'm paralyzed, and what am I going to do with my life? So many things were running through my mind, and I had good friends and people that came in, and like she said, like those support groups, I got to meet a lot of cool people who came into my room and played Connect 4 and all these different games and just talked to me about life. Those meant more to me than anything else that I even did at rehab. Like physical therapy and all that's like, yeah, I get it. It's really good for your body and stuff. No, I mean, I'll talk more about that. Trust me, I know you guys are a rehab place, dude. I'm not sitting up here dogging rehab, dude. That is very important. And the service that you provide once a month for the other people outside of the hospital is ginormous. And all of that is a puzzle. Without one piece, you don't finish your puzzle. And that's very important, all of that stuff. I mean, trust me, I know. Standing frames, working out, swimming. It all plays a huge factor in the future. I'm going to tell you right now, the most important thing that's going to change these people's lives is what happens at that rehab facility. Building friendships, having the rehabs and the nurses talk to them. Everyone's different. Like you could put, all these people could be C6 quadriplegics and they're all different. So you can't treat them the same. So it's really important that you create a friendship with these people. Then you could push them harder to do more things. If you're just there like, oh, do this, do this, do this, it's hard to like just want to be a part of that. But when you build friendships, that's when you can push people. That's when you're going to be able to change these people's lives. And yeah, depression and sadness, it still happens. Like, I still get bummed out. I mean, I want to be able to feel. I want to be able to walk. I want to be able to do certain things. But I try not to focus on what I can't do and focus on what I can do. I could still look forward to the next swell, the next movie coming out, the next nice glass of red wine. Who knows? You know what I mean? Like, I can still enjoy stuff. I always tell people, always have something to look forward to, or life will be super boring and bad, no matter if you have all the money in the world or nothing. You have to have something to look forward to in life, and that's really important. But, yeah.
So, Jesse, from my perspective, a question about, do you feel like you would have necessarily been on the same path that you're on if you had not had the injury? So, in other words,
yeah, I get it.
It's not it's a surviving, thriving thing. It's, I would have done this if this had never happened, but oh my God, I've done this because this happened.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, well, I'll tell you right now, Life Rolls On wouldn't be here. And to me, that's one of my greatest accomplishments. Yeah. I think giving back is like one of the best feelings in life. When I could see someone who's so nervous and so scared at the beach, and then they ride their first wave because they trusted me and they trusted the volunteers and they believed in what Life Rolls On is going to do to people's souls. That's like the biggest compliment in the world, is to see someone's life change, someone to come up to me and say, like, you just changed my life. And that was for free. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't have gone cage diving with sharks. Maybe I wouldn't have jumped out of a plane. Maybe I wouldn't have these twins. I wouldn't have met my wife. I wouldn't have done a lot of things. But let me tell you one thing. But people ask me, would you go back and change everything that you've done to be healthy and independent and free? And yeah, the selfish thing is hell yeah, but I can't. So I can't. So everything that I'm doing, I'm super happy that I still get to. And I just want people to know, like, don't let anybody tell you that one person can't make a difference in this world. Because that one person, could be you. I'm one person. In 2001, I started Life Rolls On, and I've done so much with it, and that could be anybody. So I'm just saying, like, we all have the power to change our communities, to do good things. And so try to do good things. It's a lot easier to be a nice person than it is to be a bad person. I think being a bad person is probably a full-time job. Like, people that lie, like, it's like so stressful for them. It's like, if you just told the truth and you were happy, life would be a lot easier. So look in the mirror and just try to be a good person to yourself, and then that will project onto others. Like I said, whatever you put out into the world is what you're going to get back. So if you want good things, positive energy in your life, that's what you better be putting out there. So, like,
Jesse.
Oh yeah, God just talked. Where is God?
Jesse.
Right there is God.
Yeah, that's
okay.
right. Yeah, thanks.
I was like, whoa. Yes?
Quite a expression of courage. Thanks for being here, and congratulations on your competitions and your championships. This is a little shift in gears, but I'm interested in your equipment and how you control your equipment. You've got probably a lot on your plate when you're dropping in on some of these waves and guiding that moving platform in the direction that you want it to go. You were also having to keep your body on the board as well. And I'm kind of curious about the rest of your body, and if you're wearing a wetsuit generally, and if there is some sort of a hook and loop or a Velcro or some sort of attachment that your body has some control and attachment with the deck of the equipment.
Yeah, so the two fin like setups in the back of my board, I actually put fins there that are padded so that when the whitewater hits my legs, it doesn't fall off the board. They're not in right now. And then I have up here the toe and foot straps. And then Bethany Hamilton gave me this idea with this strap in the middle where I put my hand under, and it gives me leverage to be able to lean even harder into the wave. So when the whitewater hits me, I'm not falling off the board. But I have a full wetsuit, and I put these straps that keep my legs together. And I wear a full suit wetsuit, whether it's 60-degree water or 80-degree water, because of just protection and flotation. And I have, I'm sponsored by Hurley, and they made me this custom wetsuit and custom life jacket where it Velcros to my wetsuit, and I feel super safe. And I always wear a helmet for me personally because I lay down on the board, and there's a lot of people that surf around me, and I don't want their boards like to hit me in the head because I surf Malibu a lot, and we all know it's pretty crowded. But yeah, my equipment has changed definitely a lot in the past. I used to ride a bigger board. Now it's a shorter board and more volume. And but with regards to like when I'm laying on my board, all I'm doing is leaning the top part of my body. That's all I can move. And it's very, my board's super loose and receptive. So I'm like, I mean, I could go through this whole crowd and not hit you guys. You might have like big deer eyes, like, oh my God. But I promise you, I won't hit you. But my electric board, you have a watch and you push it on. It's not like any throttle or speed. It's just on and off. And that board is just super fast and amazing, especially at Malibu. I ride it. I used to have like 3 or 4 people help me, and now at Malibu, like I can have like 1 or 2 people. I'm riding the wave and I kick out, and then it just takes me all the way back to the outside. And I'm like, this is sick. Everyone hates me, but I'm like, yo, you want to trade spots? I'm down. You guys, you can have as many waves as you want. If you want to be paralyzed, I'll be able-bodied and surf when you're not, which is probably like 29 days a month. I'm like, you got to suffer for 1 day, bro. Because I'm out here, I'm catching whatever I want. And if you drop in on me, you might be part of the West Side Wheelchair crew. And we wouldn't want that. I'm just kidding. They'll fall. It's okay. What else? Yeah? Don't tell me it was me doing something bad. Oh yeah, I've surfed Rincon, yeah. My favorite place in the world, though, is the Hollister Ranch. I travel everywhere around the world, but my most peaceful, beautiful place is the ranch. Yeah, I'm the guy that's laying down and everyone's saying, stand up, kook. And I'm like, bro, I'm paralyzed. I have to lay down. Don't be mean. People tell me to do stand-up comedy, but I tell them I sit down. For now, until the cure comes, which they told me was a long time ago. So now I'm just surfing and fishing and skateboarding and making babies. Oh, I didn't look over. So I'm going to be here for a while after. We can talk more, but we're going to have a nice, cool panel come out here, and then you guys could talk to all of us. But truly, I really appreciate you guys having me here, and I'm really stoked to partner up with the rehab and have an event up here in Santa Barbara. And it's going to take a community to get behind this event to make it even possible. Just so you know, October 5th, we're having a big fundraiser. Jason Mraz hosts it, plays music. It's called Night by the Ocean. It's in Santa Monica, but it all raises money for events like this that we do around the country. But check out Life Rolls On and come get involved, man. It's going to be rad.
Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. All right. We still got just a few minutes left, and I want to invite out our medical director, Dr. Sharon Basham, and our former patient that I was describing earlier, Mr. David Powdrell. So please welcome them. Don't go anywhere.
Where do you want to be?
Hello.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, it's all good.
Hey, thanks, Brian.
You didn't say that about my sweatshirt.
Yeah, right.
I'm just kidding. I'm a confident person. I like it.
All right, so Jesse, I wanted to start out, we had a few questions for you, and many times in the initial phases of rehab, we're seeing people in the hospital, Renee, myself, in the very early on after an injury. And sometimes it's hard for patients to really get that motivation and that inspiration and find that passion that you've found. So do you have any tips for us in terms of
I mean, back in the day when I got injured, there wasn't really a lot of YouTube stuff out there. I got injured 23 years ago, and there wasn't as much going on. So nowadays, like, there's so much opportunity in so many different sports and with art and everything, where it's like they could actually see the possibilities right in front of them, where it's like, okay, if someone was a C6 quadriplegic, you can show a C6 quadriplegic doing all these different things, or whatever injury they have, you could be able to show them that these things are possible. And I think that's huge, because when you're paralyzed or you get injured, you want to hear that stuff from someone who's been there, done that. You know, able-bodied people telling you certain things can only go so far at that moment, that it's really important to have other people in their situation around. So I think it's huge to show them that, and then it's huge to have these people coming to the hospital so that they can see what the possibilities are in the reality, instead of someone who's able-bodied is saying, hey, this is what you could do, this is, you know. But your heroes, like doctors and nurses, are like God to families and to people that get injured. So it's very important that they know to provide that information.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And what about Dave Powdrell here? Dave Powdrell I like to call Dave the Cottage Rehabilitation Hospital poster child, because Dave has been in our hospital a few times and knows exactly what goes on there. I do. And so maybe you could tell us a little bit about your experience there.
Yeah, I had a stroke 2004. I lost all use of the right side of my body, was wheelchair bound. I had been surfing the day before at Rincon and doing really well there. That was a great day. So I find myself at Cottage Rehab Hospital, and I'll never forget the lady coming in and saying, the therapist saying, David, well, I want you to put your pants on now. And I said, put my pants on? I can't, there's no way I'm gonna get my pants on. I can't even move my right side, everything's dead. Anyway, what I know now is that a month there at Cottage Hospital, at the rehab hospital, was hard work, but the therapists bring tears to my eyes every time. They motivated me. My policy then was 11. Anytime they asked me for 10, I was going to give them 11. And that's push-ups and sit-ups and anything that they gave me, I'd always push a little bit harder. I couldn't wait to get out of there and get home, but I'm grateful for what they did. The therapists are amazing, the nurses, the doctors. And I've been there 3 times as patients, one from the stroke, and then once I had brain surgery, and that took away some stuff there. And then body surfing 2 years ago, I hit the bottom and broke my neck and broke 5 vertebrae and 5 ribs. So I've had some hip little issues too. But I'm grateful. I'm lucky. I'm grateful, and I can't thank the therapists enough. They bring tears to my eyes every time.
I feel like I'm a talk show host up here.
I missed that.
Actually, I think it's his wife.
It's called Super Dave. There was a Super Dave back in the day.
And maybe Renee, you could tell us a little bit more about sports and rehabilitation.
Well, I gotta say, I really appreciate your murder, ball story earlier.
Yeah, right.
No, but that's a movie that was made. It's called Murder Ball.
I know.
I didn't just make that up. I didn't just go, hey, that's Murder Ball.
No, it was the part about bringing him out and that, I'm really sorry that those therapists took you out and you fell over on your head. We don't do that at Cottage Rehab.
I don't think they do it anymore
either. We put those anti-tips on
I'm glad I was a guinea pig. It's all good.
But, everything that you said is you found your passion. And I know you and I were talking earlier about, and you said it, it's, surfing was your thing. And the one thing I get a lot is people say, well, this is what I did. And if I can't do it the way I did it before, I don't want to do it.
Right.
And I respect that, right? So, but what you said that really hit me was, and this is what we ask a lot of times, is why did you do what you did? Why were you a surfer? Why do you like playing golf? Why are you an artist? And we go to what tells them, I do this because, the wind in my face and the water in my face, or being out on the course and being on my own, or being with my friends, or being with my family. And that is what we work off of. And so it may not be for some people going right back to surfing, or, it's pretty amazing that, Class A before you went, Class A now, surfers. That's a huge accomplishment. But for others, it's finding the different things. And I talk to people all the time that are like, I'm not going to try that rugby thing, and then they go and try it, and they're like, this is the coolest thing ever. Or I would never play pickleball. And next thing you know, they're out there on the courts. I did that for Dr. Basham. But anyway, I think that's the cornerstone. And what you said is it's really inspirational. And what David's done by coming back 3 times, you've come back 3 times too, is just always finding and never giving up. And I like what you said about it's hard. It's harder to go and try, but it's a lot more benefit. There's so much more benefit and joy. And that's what we want. We want people to have that spark, that joy. That's what I think everybody kind of wants. So.
Yeah, right. I actually forgot. So, like being in a wheelchair and stuff, people, they see our disability, like through the wheelchair, and they'll be like, oh, let me open up the door for you, and how are you doing? Can I help you? And then I realize that a lot of people that are walking have more disabilities and more struggles that are going on inside that nobody can see. I've had friends that I thought were having the best life, they had everything, and then they committed suicide. And I realized that people just need to ask people how they're doing, and just to help people and be there for people. And people have struggles inside that are real, and it's up to you as a friend, as a stranger, to just say, hey, have a beautiful day, how you doing? It can change people's lives and the way that they're feeling. You don't know how they're feeling. So it's hard to judge people off that. So just because you could see our disability doesn't mean that a lot of people that are walking don't. So try to treat others the way that you want to be treated.
Well said,
That's all.
well said, well said.
I think we have a few more minutes for any further questions from the audience. Okay.
Oh, wait.
We got a lot
Hold
of
on
them.
one second.
Okay.
I got a question.
Okay.
We got you in the queue.
Hello, is this on? I got a question for all you guys. I follow David Goggins, Cameron Haynes, Shane Dorian, all those guys. I'm a bow hunter, a surfer, all that stuff. Wonderful. And one of David Goggins' famous lines is, "What's next?" And I love that. And I pushed myself to the bitter end. I tried to. So I ask you guys, what is next?
It's crazy because 10 years ago or something, I was surfing in Cloudbreak. It shows you in the video thing. And I pulled inside of the barrel and I was like, oh, my whole dream was to get barreled. But on that trip, I guess I forgot to say I wanted to get barreled and come out. So my dream did come true. I was like, oh, I got barreled, but I forgot to say I wanted to come out. So like last year, I was like, oh, I'm going to make that happen. And so I went to Kelly Slater's Surf Ranch and I surfed that twice.
Nice.
And even though it's like the most perfect wave, you don't get to surf it a lot. So it's not like you get to try it all the time, but I thought that was the wave. You know, I was like, oh, I'm going to get barreled and come out and stuff. But I ended up getting like super pounded. And the thing was like so much more powerful than I thought. And now I'm like, I don't even care if I get barreled and come out, because I'm not going to be trying that anymore. I just want to be in front of the barrel and just get a lot of speed. But what's next is just raising my kids and living through them and having the most beautiful time and just being in the moment and hopefully winning the World Series of poker.
Good job.
That's something that won't break my legs. Might break the bank a little bit, but it's all good. I'm going to win the whole thing.
Yeah. I think Campus Point for a place.
Good spot.
It's got a lot of room. I don't know what UCSB's perspective is, but there's a lot of room there, and I think they'll let there's a park there. There's a shower there, and there won't be a lot of sand to go through.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's either that or Ledbetter or whatever. We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I think we have a volunteer.
We'll get, yeah.
Yeah, right.
What question over there?
Yes, thank you very much for your story and sharing tonight. You've given a lot of really good nuggets, I think, about just how to live life and approach life and stay positive and motivated. But I was curious, there's a lot of little kids around here. I've got my kids here, 11 and 9. What advice would you give to those kids on, as they face life, and maybe what you share with your kids?
Well, my kids are super young. Just like, yo, don't do that.
And I think you should seriously consider looking into comedy.
Don't go in the street.
Hilarious.
Just whatever about them. My kids, whatever. But a couple things for sure is like a buddy system and not, joking around. When people are surfing and stuff and you have friends, not joking around, because one day, like it is, if something were to get hurt, you want to make sure that you have someone that's by you. So I always tell people to like buddy up and have friends out there, whether it's skating or surfing, but just not do a lot of those dangerous things alone. It's scary. And I always tell people, like, at schools, I do a lot of speeches at schools. It's like, I know that there's bullies and I know that there's people that pick on you, and just understand, like, for all the bullies out there, when you get older, there's going to be bigger people than you. And so make sure you treat, everyone. And everyone's different. We all look different. We're all different for a reason, because if we were all the same, it'd be super boring. So try not to let people like that pick on you. Just kill them with kindness, and just be like, oh, thank you. Oh, I'm ugly? Thank you. I'm pretty stoked that I'm ugly, or whatever it is. Like, that will throw them. They'll be like, what? The bully will be like, what the hell? I'm not even pick on you anymore. You're weird. Which is cool. Being weird's cool. But I don't know. That's just a different example, I'm just throwing off the deep end right here. I was just having fun with myself for a moment, like visualizing that. But I just say, for kids, volunteer for less fortunate people once in a while and give back, because for every toy or every present that you get, give one of those up to someone that doesn't have something, and then you'll appreciate it more. So when your kid wants a new board, new skateboard, new something, say, what are you willing to give up to get that? And give it to other people that don't have that. And that will make them appreciate things more. And yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I think if we should see, when kids get to see people that are less fortunate, they kind of get a reality check and go, wow, I'm super grateful. And then make sure they tell you that they love you. I'm like, hey, say I love you. I have to tell them, hey, say I love you, Daddy. They say it already, but I want to hear it more, you know? So kids, I know you're getting older and you don't want to kiss your dad or mom goodbye at school. It's still cool.
And so, Renee, talk a little bit about the high school volunteer.
So speaking of
got
kids, yeah, I was going to say, so our wheelchair sports camp, we may serve 45 campers, but out of that, we have 75 volunteers and from 14 up. So it's been a pretty amazing opportunity for the youth in Santa Barbara and the surrounding area to come in and really learn. Like, you know, you're sitting there and you're the spectator, and the people that are, you know, in the wheelchairs and such, this is their time. And I got to tell you, those volunteers, they come back and they change careers. They decide to become therapists or something else because of what they see. And so that is one thing I would say, and it goes right along with what Jesse just said, is just, you know, get involved with your community and look for people that are doing things differently and volunteer there. So I think we're
Yay.
okay.
Yay.
All right, and I think we're good.
Yeah. All right. So,
wait, just one question real quick. Along those lines, Renee, I'm over here.
Okay.
It's me, Laura.
Thank you.
You mentioned that there was going to be an event here in Santa Barbara in 2020. So I'm curious about that and how we can start to hear about that and plan for helping and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Just to give you an idea, at our events in Southern California, we have 9 different teams, all different colors. Each of them takes out one surfer at a time. There's 35 volunteers at one time in the water per surfer. These are at our events right now. So they're huge events. Because we have 100 people with disabilities that want to surf in one day, that's why we have so many teams. That's why I'm trying to figure out, at the beaches that we do it right now, they're all beach breaks, because we want the surfers and the volunteers not to hit any rocks and stuff like that. That's why we're trying to figure out the best location, and how many people are actually going to do it is a big deal, because then we have to kind of know the logistics. So that's something we have to figure out. Like I said, it's in between probably 2 spots, like Ledbetter or Campus Point, and then we have to figure out all the volunteers. A lot of the ones in Southern California, we do in Santa Monica, Huntington, La Jolla. La Jolla is next weekend. We tell them the dates in January, and they tell family members, and can't get married on this date, this date, this date, because I'm going to be volunteering for Life Rolls On. So those same people will come up and help out in Santa Barbara and love it. Those will be like the key solid ones, and then we'll build teams around them. But it takes sponsors, it takes donations, and you know, we're going to start with them, and hopefully the community will pitch in and help out somehow.
And yeah, just to tag
and we'll
on,
figure that out, but it probably won't be until the end of September next year. So look forward to the September 2020, the date. We're trying to figure out the location. We have to figure out the permit. And then we're going to build this thing. And guess what? It's going to be here for a long, long time.
That's cool. That's cool.
We don't do one event and leave that city. So if Santa Barbara wants to be a part of this thing, they have to be in it for the long haul, because we don't like to tease. We like to please.
You are a rapper.
So on that note,
on that note,
Jesse, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and just thank you for sharing your passion and being so inspirational to so many people.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I make it look easy, but life is not that easy. It's super hard being paralyzed, day-to-day lives. But you just gotta just make the most of it, but realize that it's not easy, it's a struggle. And get outside, enjoy the life, enjoy the world. There's so much opportunity. And don't let anybody tell you they can't do something. And enjoy it, man. Enjoy the ride. Life rolls on. Thanks for allowing me to be here. Thanks for everyone.